In Eze Mmiri's chamber, the light shimmered softly on the walls. Princess Ifema turned to Eze Mmiri with a hopeful look. "I will give you a basket of gold if you can convince your brother to marry me," she said with a small smile. Eze Mmiri grinned, her eyes sparkling. "Don't worry," she said. "I have a plan." Their laughter filled the room, echoing like music through the waters. The moon hung low in the sky, its silvery light casting airy shadows over the riverbank. The waters whispered secrets as the night wind danced across the surface. Beneath the waves, the kingdom of the sea was restless. Eze Mmiri sat in the dim glow of his chamber, his heart weighed down by the burden of his father's sickness and the quest that laid ahead. Nwa Ogidi's prophecy replayed in his mind. The love bracelet. Hold the power to heal your father and unite you with your true love. But the journey will test your will. Beware of betrayals and hidden snares. He had shared the prophecy with Adaobi earlier that day. Her face, a mixture of hope and determination, had given him strength. Eze Mmiri left his chamber and swam to his father's bedside. The once mighty king, now frail and pale, managed a weak smile as his son entered. "Father," Eze Mmiri began, kneeling by his bed, "I will not let you fade away. I have a plan, a way to bring you back to full health." His father's voice was barely a whisper. "You carry the weight of the kingdom, my son. May the gods protect you." Eze Mmiri squeezed his father's hand, his resolve strengthening. "I will not fail you." That night, Adaobi sat in her family's hut, her heart heavy with conflict. Her mother and sister were busy preparing for the wedding the next day, but she knew she couldn't go through with it. "I won't marry Nana," she declared suddenly, her voice cutting through the chatters. Her mother froze. "What nonsense are you saying, Adaobi? The wedding is tomorrow." "I cannot marry a man I do not love," Adaobi said firmly. Her younger sister, Nkechi, didn't wait for further explanation. She hurried to Nana's family's hut and delivered the shocking news. "She said she won't marry him," Nkechi reportedly. Breathless, Nana's father slammed his staff against the ground. "Does she want to bring shame upon her family and ours?" That night, the entire village buzzed with scandal. Some accused Adaobi of being foolish, while others admired her courage. While chaos brewed on the land, Eze Mmiri, Eze Mmiri's cunning sister, hatched a plan beneath the sea. "Princess Ifema," she said, her voice dripping with malice, "if you want my brother, you must act quickly. Tonight, go to his chamber. Do whatever it takes to make him yours." Princess Ifema smiled shyly. "Consider it done." But when she slipped into Eze Mmiri's chamber, naked and alluring, her plan backfired. "What are you doing here?" Eze Mmiri demanded, his voice cold. "I came to show you my love," Ifema poured, stepping closer. "Leave," he said sternly. "I have no interest in you." Humiliated, Ifema stormed into Eze Mmiri's chambers. "He rejected me," she cried. Eze Mmiri smirked. "Be patient. The next plan will leave him no choice." The next morning, the village awoke to a day of tension. Decorations adorned the square and villagers gathered for the much-anticipated wedding. Nana and his family waited anxiously, hoping Adaobi would change her mind. Messengers were sent to her hut, but she had locked herself in her room, refusing to see anyone. As the hours passed, whispers spread among the villagers. "She won't show," some people said. Others argued she wouldn't dare disgrace her family like this. By evening, the truth was clear. Adaobi was not coming. Meanwhile, under the sea, Eze Mmiri gave Princess Ifema a vial containing a potion. "This will make him crave you," she said with a wicked grin. That night, Ifema entered Eze Mmiri's chamber again, this time with a bottle of wine. "I came to visit you, my friend," she said casually. "I thought we could share a drink." Reluctantly, Eze Mmiri agreed. As they talked about their kingdoms, Ifema poured the wine, secretly adding the portion. Eze Mmiri took a sip, then another. Soon he felt strange. His mind clouded. "I need to rest," he said, trying to shake off the sensation. But Ifema leaned closer, her lips brushing his. The portion took hold, and before he realized it, they had laid together. The next morning, Eze Mmiri woke up to find Ifema naked beside him. "What happened?" he demanded, his voice sharp with confusion. "You told me you loved me," she lied smoothly. "You begged me to stay." Disgusted, Eze Mmiri ordered her to leave. As soon as she left the chamber, she rushed to Eze Mmiri's chambers. "The plan worked," she grinned. Eze Mmiri laughed. "He is trapped now." 2 weeks passed, and the second market day arrived. Adaobi packed her belongings early, ignoring her family's questions. She walked to the riverbank, her heart filled with hope. Under the sea, Eze Mmiri was preparing to leave when Princess Ifema arrived at the palace with her father and their council of elders. "What brings you here without notice?" Eze Mmiri asked, his tone cautious. King Ike's expression was stern. "My daughter is pregnant, and she says you are responsible." Eze Mmiri's blood ran cold. "What?" Ifema's feigned tears. "You told me you loved me and wanted me to bear your child." The council of elders turned to Eze Mmiri. "It is tradition," they said. "You must marry her." Eze Mmiri stood frozen, his mind racing. He thought of Adaobi waiting for him by the riverbank. It was the second market day, the day they had agreed to go into the quest to look for the bracelet. How could I have let this happen? He wondered, guilt snaring at him. At the riverbank, Adaobi sat with her bag, waiting from morning until night. As the sun set, her hope began to fade. "He promised," she whispered to herself, tears streaming down her face. Under the sea, Eze Mmiri faced the elders, torn between duty and love. Eze Mmiri and Princess Ifema watched with triumphant smiles, their plan unfolding perfectly. "What do I do now?" Eze Mmiri thought, his heart heavy with despair. Adaobi sat by the riverbank, her heart heavy with unanswered questions. The moonlight reflected off the gentle waves, but her thoughts were dark and restless. Hours had passed, and still Eze Mmiri had not come. She had waited until exhaustion took over, and finally she turned back home, defeated. That night, her heart ached with every passing moment. Alone in her room, she cried until she could cry no more. Why did he not show up? Her mind replayed every word he had ever said, every promise he had made. She clutched the shell he had given her, the symbol of their bond, but now it felt like a cruel reminder of his absence. Her family, concerned by her sudden change in demeanor, tried to speak with her the next morning. "Adaobi," her mother asked gently, "what is wrong? Why do you look so troubled?" But Adaobi said nothing. She kept her silence, her heart too broken to explain. Her family watched her in confusion, unable to understand the depth of her pain. Meanwhile, under the waves, Eze Mmiri was drowning in his own guilt and shame. He had promised Adaobi he would come, but each day he grew more and more paralyzed by the truth he could not face. How can I explain to her that I am bound to another? Princess Ifema, her presence a constant reminder of his failure, packed her belongings and came to stay with him. But Eze Mmiri could not bring himself to have her in his chambers. He refused her advances and insisted she stay in another room. Every day felt like a battle between his heart and his duty. The day stretched on and the pressure mounted. His father, King Eze Mmiri, had shown signs of improvement after receiving the magic potion from Ogidi. But Eze Mmiri's heart still longed for Adaobi, the woman he loved. For 3 months, Adaobi waited, but Eze Mmiri never came. The pain of his absence festered, and her hope began to fade. She went to the riverbank again and again, but each time she was met with only the empty water and the lingering scent of his lost promises. At the palace, Ifema's belly continued to grow. Her family, eager to see their daughter wed to Eze Mmiri, applied more and more pressure. How long must we wait? They asked. Yet Eze Mmiri hesitated, unable to bring himself to marry a woman he could not love. Finally, in a moment of clarity, he had made a decision. He could not live with the torment any longer. He would go to Adaobi and explain everything. He could no longer be a prisoner to his guilt. On the riverbank, Adaobi was once again waiting. Though this time her heart had already resigned to the belief that Eze Mmiri would never show. Her tears had dried, but the emptiness lingered. Then through the mist, she saw him. Eze Mmiri, her breath caught in her throat as she rushed towards him, throwing herself into his arms. Eze Mmiri, why did you not come? I waited for you. I waited so long. Her voice broke and she cried against his chest, finally releasing the pain that had consumed her for so long. Eze Mmiri's heart ached as he held her, but the guilt of his lies weighed him down. Adaobi, I am sorry. I've been caught up with my father's illness. I couldn't come, but I am here now. I am here. Adaobi pulled back slightly, her tear-filled eyes searching his face. When will we go to find the love bracelet, Eze Mmiri? When will we go on her journey? He hesitated, his mind racing. We can't, he said quietly. Not yet. Adaobi furrowed her brow, her heart sinking. Is everything all right? Yes, he said quickly, though his voice lacked conviction. Everything is fine. They shared a kiss, but it felt hollow. Adaobi, though confused, still believed in their love, and for a moment it seemed as though everything would be okay. They said their goodbyes for the night, but both carried the weight of unspoken truths. Back under the sea, Princess Ifema's anger grew. She had been patient, but her patience was running thin. Eze Mmiri had not yet married her. Despite the fact that she was carrying his child, she could not understand why he hesitated. Eze Mmiri, Eze Mmiri's sister, was equally frustrated. It's been months, she said one day, speaking to her brother in private. Why has you not married Ifema? The longer we wait, the more complicated we face. Princess Ifema, now 6 months pregnant, felt the weight of the situation. She had been promised to Eze Mmiri, and yet he still had not made her his wife. The pressure was becoming unbearable. Weeks passed, and Eze Mmiri continued to visit Adaobi in secret. Their bond deepened, their love growing stronger with each stolen moment. They laughed, they talked, they kissed, living in a world where the future was uncertain, but their love was undeniable. But the pressure from Ifema's family was relentless. King Eze Mmiri's health continued to improve, and soon the pressure on Eze Mmiri to marry Ifema would only reduce. It was the night of a full moon when Eze Mmiri decided she had had enough. She swam to the land, determined to find out what truly was going on with her brother. What she discovered shattered her expectations. As she hid in the shadows, she saw Adaobi and Eze Mmiri together, sharing a kiss, their bodies close in a way that left no room for doubt. Eze Mmiri's heart burned, With rage, she swam back to the palace and immediately summoned Princess Ifeoma. Together they made their way to the riverbank where the confrontation would take place. When they arrived, Adaobi was sitting alone by the water. Her heart skipped when she saw Princess Ifeoma and Eze Mmiri. Before she could react, Ifeoma shouted at her, "You husband thief!" Adaobi's eye widened in shock. "What do you mean? I'm not a thief." Eze Mmiri appeared behind them, his face pale as he saw the confrontation unfold. "What are you two doing here?" he demanded, his voice firm but filled with confusion. "Ifeoma, what is this about?" Eze Mmiri asked, his voice trembling. Princess Ifeoma sneered, her hand resting in her swollen belly. "Let me tell you, Adaobi, I am carrying Eze Mmiri's child, and we are engaged to be married. He is only using you as a toy, a plaything. He doesn't love you." Adaobi turned to Eze Mmiri, her face a mixture of disbelief and heartbreak. "Is it true?" she asked softly. "Are you really the father of a child?" Eze Mmiri stood frozen, his heart torn. He wanted to tell her the truth, but the words stuck in his throat. "Adaobi, it's not what you think," he said weakly. "Please, it was a mistake." "A mistake?" she cried out, her voice cracking. No wonder you didn't show up the day we were supposed to search for the love bracelet. No wonder you have never mentioned it since then." She threw her hands in the air. Everything we share was just a joke. Tears streamed down her face as she continued. "Yesterday, I gave you my virginity, Eze Mmiri. I thought you loved me. Why did you do this to me?" Eze Mmiri's heart shattered. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could say anything, Adaobi threw the golden shell at him. "Take it," she shouted, her voice filled with fury and betrayal. Without another word, Adaobi turned and ran towards the village, leaving Eze Mmiri standing in the moonlight, devastated. Eze Mmiri and Princess Ifeoma exchanged a look of triumph. They smiled at each other because they know that their plan has worked. Eze Mmiri called after Adaobi, his voice desperate. "Adaobi, please come back. I love you, I can explain." But Adaobi did not look back as she ran back to the village in tears. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to stay connected by leaving your thoughts in the comments, giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when a new content drops. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you in the next video.